Cheat on me, you'll get deported, arrested, and you'll never see your child again. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a story titled, Cheat on Me, You'll Get Deported, Arrested, and You'll Never See Your Child Again. And guys, this story is written by a woman whose story and actions, as you're going to see, certainly is a perfect example of the saying, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. So for you guys out there that are relationship guys, be aware that if you ever cheat on your girl, you may end up dealing with something like this. This story is about a girl who was engaged to a guy. It sounds like they were college sweethearts, and they then did some time apart, long distance. Well, it didn't work very well, and the guy ended up, number one, she got pregnant before they went, and this guy wasn't exactly the best boyfriend. And I gotta be fair here, while overwhelming my audience as men, I don't think it's cool anybody cheats on anybody else, so that's that. And I'll call guys out on bullshit too. But ultimately, you're going to see this guy has this whole affair behind her back, and she doesn't take it very well. And at the end, you're going to see just how far she takes it to get even with this guy. And in my opinion, he certainly is, in many ways, a scumbag and has some things coming to him, some. But she takes it to a whole new level and has gone way too far, in my opinion. So when you guys get done watching this video, I'm going to ask you to comment and let me know if you thought that she took it too far or not enough. We'll see. So, getting started, she says, please note, as I start this story, I'm not an American, and ICE was not involved in any way. And this did not occur in the United States. As well as my ex-boyfriend and I are both white, so there's no racial motivation. Nowadays, everybody's got to bring up the whole racial motivation thing. Has nothing to do with this story. I don't know why she brought it up. She says, my ex-boyfriend and I are both native-born citizens of the same country in North America. We got together when I was still in post-secondary working towards my degree, and he was taking some time before he started post-secondary to work and save up money. So it sounds like they're from Canada. But why she couldn't say that, I don't know. Our relationship was basically perfect from my perspective, her perspective. We had similar goals and expectations. We both seemed mature and able to work through any problems we had, and we were very happy to be together and enjoy each other's personalities. We were together for 3 years prior to this incident. Our relationship hit a bit of a rough patch, though, when he told me he wanted to study for his degree at a university in Europe. I, of course, was a little bit upset because it meant that we would be apart for 4 years. She says in parentheses, my job is in the medical field and would require me to retake schooling if I were to go with him. But he was super excited about it, and we were determined that we loved each other and no amount of distance could change that. Well, guys, I have done long-distance relationships when I was much younger in my life, and let me tell you, they don't work. Okay? And in fact, the younger you are, the more likely it's not going to work. It's just better to simply, essentially break up and, hey, you do your thing, I'll do mine, and when you get back, we'll see if we can rekindle things. If not, no hard feelings, because it just doesn't work. And I've done countless stories where it doesn't work, and people get hurt and all that. It's just not a good idea. I would not advise it or recommend it to anyone. Anyhow, she says, with time, I graduated and got my dream job, and I could now afford to rent our shared apartment with just my income, so I didn't have to move out when he was no longer there to pay his half. He was having some problems with his student visa for the country, but it was determined that he would get a temporary visa for the first semester while we waited for the other one to be approved. So with that, he left. I remember bawling my eyes out at the airport when I hugged and kissed him goodbye, and parked outside the airport to watch his plane take off. We talked on the phone almost every night. Okay, so far so good. She says, as unlucky as it was, about 5 weeks after he left, I found out I was pregnant. Horrible timing, I know. When I told him I was pregnant, he immediately accused me of cheating on him while he was gone. I thought it was a bit odd since he had never ever mentioned such a thing, and it seemed really out of the blue. That obviously led to a big fight, and I felt offended and disgusted that he would ever consider it a possibility. Well, probably his knee-jerk reaction was, wait a second, I'm over here, so you must have been cheating. And, guys, you can never rule that out, at least in that moment. But also, he'd been gone a bit, so it certainly could have happened right before he left. And is it possible that maybe a certain someone had it happen on purpose so he'd come back? One has to ask. When he came home for Christmas, he was super happy and lovey-dovey with me, saying he was excited. He even proposed to me on the car ride home from his parents' house on Christmas Eve. I was so happy and overjoyed that it felt like everything would work out okay. When I went back to school, it was again stressful to go through the pregnancy without him, but both his parents and mine were incredibly supportive. They helped me get everything I needed for the baby and even threw me a surprise baby shower. When I gave birth, my ex watched it over Skype with his mom. He watched it live on Skype? I don't know about that. When he finished his exams, he came home to be with us. He immediately started talking negatively about our daughter, saying things like, "Why is her hair that color? My hair is brown. And doesn't she have your friend's eyes?" And he again accused me of cheating. So I reluctantly agreed to perform a paternity test to calm his suspicions. Wow, could you believe it? She was his. He agreed to pay informal child support, sending me money to pay for the baby without a lawful order to do so while he was overseas. Now for the fun part. So, okay, they're engaged and they did the paternity test. The child was born immediately. He's like, that hair doesn't look like mine. Those eyes don't look like mine. Paternity test, it is his kid. Okay, so obviously, or at least we're strongly thinking here that nothing was going on, etc., etc. And of course, he should be paying something. This is his child, and a test has proven that it's his child. So, even though he's away, somehow money needs to be given to help that child. I get that. His student visa had still not been approved, so he had to reapply for another temporary semester visa for the next summer. Since he did not have a permanent residence in the country, as he was staying in student accommodations, and he didn't trust the university to not go through the official looking mail, he redirected all his mail to me, which I would forward to the university in his care packages. When he came to visit us, he had applied for a new passport as his was about to expire in 6 months. I was tasked with picking it up at the office and sending it forward. However, around the midterm exam session, I decided our daughter and I would travel to deliver the care package in person and visit. I had to get her an infant passport and book the tickets. But a couple months later, we were getting on a plane, and she says, "Side note, traveling with a baby sucks, and I'm sorry to everyone else on the plane." So, they're off to visit him, and I don't think he knows this. When we got to the country, I settled into our hotel, but I was too eager to see him. I taxied to his university, only 45 minutes from the airport, and went to his dorm room on campus. I knocked on the door, holding our daughter. A woman answered the door. At first, I assumed it was his roommate or something, but I don't remember him mentioning that he had one. Denial is a powerful thing. I remember him mentioning that he had one. Denial is a powerful thing, I guess. I asked her where he was, and she said he was inside and called out to him. I heard him say, "Who is it, babe?" as he came to the door, and when he saw me, he froze. He went pale and his eyes widened. The woman asked him, "Honey, who is this?" And I just turned and walked away. That's terrible. Not cool. He proposed to her. He had the kid with her. That's his kid. If he didn't want to be with her, then he should have simply said so. Not cool to be having an affair overseas while she's there with a ring on her finger, thinking they're going to get married with his kid. That's not cool. But you're going to see, she, as I said, hell hath no fury. He called out after me and eventually caught up with me. He basically told me that he's been so lonely without me and he couldn't help it and they loved me and not her. What a load of crap. To which he started yelling at him and calling him a pig and stuff. My baby started crying because I was crying, so I just left without saying anything. I stayed at the hotel for another day while he continuously called me on my cell phone. I booked the last minute tickets home and left early and ignored every time he called me. I gave myself a week to grieve and then I put my big girl pants on. I immediately hired a lawyer and asked him what I could do to legally separate my life from him. In my country, we were considered common law married. My lawyer advised me to begin the legal separation process. So that's interesting. Well, that's interesting because it didn't say they got married. So I wonder if it's common law and this legal separation thing. I'm a little confused about this part. And apply for a hearing about custody and child support. I sent him a thick manila envelope with separation papers and a notice for hearing about custody in his next package. We talked on the phone on speaker with my lawyer, and he eventually agreed to sign. He sent me a copy. The hearing was scheduled while school was in session, and to no surprise, he didn't show up. I won full custody, and he was given an order to pay the child support appropriate for his income. And she says in parentheses, he was paying for his college with a grant mostly, so he had to pay based on that grant. So, of course, he's overseas in school, so it's not like he can just get in the car and go to the custody hearing. So I don't think it's an accident that it was obviously arranged while he was away. And she knows this, and the lawyer knows this. But something tells me he's obviously, by his actions, that he was cheating on her and obviously not that interested in the child, that he probably didn't care, honestly, that she got full custody. But regardless, now he has to pay child support, and right now he doesn't have a job. Okay? And so, but he has grant money, but that's meant for education. So watch how this goes. She says, now this is some revenge, but it went a little further. Yeah, it definitely goes a little further. Remember when I went to see him, I was bringing him a care package. That package contained his new passport. His passport had expired and he was still in Europe, so he couldn't travel back to our home country legally. He yelled at me on the phone to send him the passport, but I got an idea. He hadn't been paying his child support, probably because he couldn't afford it with tuition and wasn't working. So he had a warrant out for his arrest in my home country because of it. She said contempt of court or something. And he never had been approved for a student visa, only the temporary one. And since his final exam concluded and it was summer, he technically wasn't supposed to be in Europe either. But he couldn't travel home because he didn't have a passport. It'd be a shame if someone anonymously reported him to the embassy for overstaying his visa. Now, wouldn't it? Hell hath no fury. Now, okay, so obviously she's reporting that he's not paying child support, but then again, he's overseas, he's a student, he doesn't have a job, he's using that grant money, but then again, given the guy's actions, he probably doesn't want that child anyway and probably would avoid it, so we can go back and forth here. But, no, his passport expired, problems there. The visa expired, problems there. He goes back home, to which I believe it's Canada. Well, then he can get arrested for lack of child support. He is in a shitty situation. And take a wild guess, she reports him to the embassy. She says he got deported back to our home country where he was arrested at the border. I don't know exactly what happened, but he spent a couple of months on probation and now with a criminal record can no longer apply for a visa of any kind to study abroad. Sorry about that future of yours, but I guess you shouldn't cheat on someone who loves you to the ends of the earth, the mother of your child. Have a nice life because we sure will. Oh, and don't forget to put that check in the mail. It's paying for our little girl's future education. So, again, because of her, deported. He no longer can get the visa, so therefore he can't go back to the university he was working on a degree on. Criminal record, probation, amongst other things. So I ask you guys, did she take it too far? In my opinion, it went too far. I wouldn't blame her for kicking his ass to the curb and getting full custody of that child. And I don't blame her, obviously, this is his child, so he's got to pay some support. But the manner this was done, she just wanted freaking revenge. Now, here's a little update here. She says, for those people saying that I'm abusing my daughter, I'm not. Since returning, her father has never reached out to me and has made no indication that he wants to see his daughter. Well, that could be either because maybe he just doesn't care, which is sad, but that's not cool, but he doesn't. Or because of what happened, he knows you did it. He doesn't have anything to do with you. She has a relationship with his parents who adore her as grandparents do, but he's not trying to reconnect personally. As well, if he did want to see her in the future, I'd be okay with it. He is, after all, her father. Well, it's interesting that she has a relationship with his parents, even though obviously his parents must know what happened. That she obviously, blabbed and got the embassy overseas to get his ass sent back to his country, and where obviously the passport expired, the visa expired, all these different things, busted at the border, arrested, criminal record. They got it now. So it's a very interesting situation here, but you can't make this shit up. But anyhow, guys, example right there, hell hath no fury. So for you relationship guys, remember, I don't advise cheating on anybody. I don't think it's cool. Now, this is a men's channel mostly, and I cover things that help men out. And these stories, usually the gals, they cheat, and they get what's coming to them. But even then, if the situation was reversed, I would even think that's a bit too far, because obviously that guy can't go back and finish up his degree over there because he can't get a visa anymore, and now he's got a criminal record. Not cool. And it can be debated, in my opinion, about the whole child support thing overseas while he is in fact not working, yada yada. But then again, they can say you can give him some money from savings to help out, because at the end of the day, that kid still is his. So we can go round for round. But anyhow, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. So guys, let me know in the comment section. Did she go too far? I mean, if you're really being fair here, like let's just say this was maybe like your sister or your cousin or some woman you cared about, like a family member. Did she go too far or not far enough, or was it just right? I'd like to hear your opinion about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.